First flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Hi everybody, welcome to This Is Cheaper Than Therapy. I always feel like I should say this is cheaper than therapy, as in like, oh, hang on, we'll pretend I didn't start it. So piano, doom 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 ba doom doom boom ba doom doom ba doom ba doom boom doom doom. This is cheaper than therapy. See, I feel I should start it like that. So like you're kind of making a statement rather than saying welcome. But see, fucked it already. Oh, what a week it's been. I still haven't done a Formula One podcast. There's still no hot lap being uploaded because simply there's just not been enough gone on. I did 3 Legs 4 Wheels podcast and we rambled on, but there's like 4 of us rambling on there. It's different to just one of me rambling on. Nothing going on there. I still haven't got rid of this fucking cold. I don't even know if it's Rones at this point. It's just hung on me now for fucking ages. And it's if it is Rones, then I've worked out how it's killing people. It just irritates them to death. Because, like, 1 minute I think it's gone. Like, all through the day I'm fine. That's like, yeah, there's nothing there. Tonight, just an absolute snot bag, cough bag, and getting full of Lemsip bag. I wonder if you have a Lemsip. I know, like, most of my listeners are either in the UK, Australia. Sorry to you guys. You appear to be in a prison nowadays, or the US. So I don't. Do Australians and Yankee Doodles have Lemsip? I'm a pretty big fan of Lemsip. It's just lemon-flavoured paracetamol, for all honesty, isn't it? But I've always enjoyed a Lemsip. As far as content creation goes lately, I did a good podcast with, well, I always say podcast because I'm a podcaster. It's not, is it? It's a YouTube Live. It's a fucking podcast. You've just got webcam turned on. I did it with Ollie from Alien Addict, as usual. We had a incognito guy on called Dave. He's a really good guy. He was really interesting. Obviously, Rich from Goofon joined us as well. It was kind of about, well, we sort of build it as a new world order / the hidden hand type of podcast. Incognito Dave, he was very knowledgeable about all this stuff, and I can't go into why he was incognito or what he does, but we had a chat after the podcast, and I can confirm that the guy is fucking legit and a very interesting person. But that's all right, because loose lips sink ships. That's all I'm going to go into about old Davy boy. That show I did will be uploaded to Must See Audio. I'm probably going to do it after I've edited and uploaded this. So I'll probably drop that on Must See Audio over the weekend, I would imagine. It was a good one. That was one of my favourite ones. It was a difficult one because, as I've said quite a lot. I think this podcast, to a certain extent, has been. It's recovering. Hang on a second. See, got a cold, haven't I? It's been recovering to a certain extent, and because there was a time there where when I started doing this, and I thought I'll just pull the plug on Must See Audio, because I had your man Courtney Adam Lawrence on the podcast talking about his views on COVID, and his views on COVID are definitely not the mainstream opinion. I actually quite like the guy. If you go back into the archives, the podcast is still there. It was incinerated from YouTube. I still have strikes on my name because of that show on YouTube. But if you go back in the podcast archives, both on Patreon and on the normal thing, you will see an interview with Courtney Adam Lawrence. He is, I believe, doing some sort of like legal action against the Isle of Man government over its handling of COVID. It's fucking strange. He wanted to come back on the podcast, and I was going to have him back on the podcast, but I won't get into it here. But and it's not his stance on COVID. I'm perfectly happy to talk to people about things like that. Even like, I mean, he goes down as far as the idea of there not being viruses at all. I can't jive with that. I mean, I don't mind having people on that with those views. But the reason I'm sick right now is because my son was sick and he came over with a virus, and the little shithead gave it to me. So in my own little microcosm, I've just proved virology. Sorry, there's going to be a few coughs through this. Sorry about that. But yeah, but he had see, the problem is, if you don't believe in virology, and you know me and my thoughts on COVID, and I'm pretty sure, well, I know it's a thing. He doesn't believe it's a thing. I do think we've gone overboard with the precautions, and I don't believe it's about public health anymore. I do believe it's about control and like the installation of a new social dynamic on much of the world, like much of the developed world. I know that makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there you go. That's where I am with it. But the thing is, if you don't believe viruses are real and people are dying, then you have to think of a reason of why people are dying. And a couple of his reasons for people dying in like hospitals and care homes, I can't get on board with, especially not on an island as small as what I live on, because it's everybody knows another healthcare professional. It's not like you can have this sort of a group of people where nobody really knows who they are or what they're doing, and yeah, so I couldn't really get on board with that, and I thought some of it might have been genuinely being a bit cruel to people. But I still think it's important that people, regardless of if you think they're wrong or stupid, I think it's important that they have a platform to talk on. I still might have him back on the podcast. I'm not sure, but regardless of all that bollocks, the Alien Addict podcast was good. It's right now the world feels like it's like an idiot's guide to conspiracy theory, isn't it? All of a sudden, the last 18 months, it's for those of us which have been sort of embedded in that sort of thing, and like myself, I mean, I'll be perfectly honest with when it comes to conspiracy theories. I looked at them for fun, the whole thing with when you get Alex Jones. I'd listen to the Alex Jones show when I was making dinner in my old house, mostly when he used to still be on YouTube, and he'd be talking about the globalists and the idea that there would be some sort of flu that would hit the US, and because obviously it was always US centric, wasn't it? And then the globalists would use that as a way to roll out some sort of vaccine which would enslave the population. And in 2006, 2007, I was listening to that going, oh God, Alex, you're so funny. Look at you, you crazy angry man. And it doesn't seem completely out of the question all of a sudden, does it? Doesn't seem completely out of the question. But there's some interesting stuff that's happening in the world. I noticed that Britney Spears had won her court battle with her dad. Free Britney is crazy Britney, isn't she? If any of you follow her on Instagram, Jesus Christ. I don't know how many of you are familiar with MK Ultra, but it's funny, isn't it, how these celebrities that are used for well, I think I'll let the cat out about what I think about that sort of thing, but these celebrities that are used for mass I don't want to say indoctrination, but only because I've run out of words, so I'm going to Britney Spears' job essentially was hypersexualizing youth in my eyes. When you look back to like Baby One More Time and stuff like that, but it's odd that these celebrities go through these phases of what seems to be complete nervous breakdowns, and then I think you can see it happening here. Then they disappear off for a while, usually to a priory or something like that, and then come back and everything's fine. They're all back to normal again. If you believe that things like MK Ultra are being used on celebrities, then you might well think that they're brought back in for sort of reprogramming and then sent back out to the world. There's some odd stuff. I mean, on the podcast we mentioned a lot about the you can't move for a picture of a celebrity covering one eye, and it does get to a point where you go, this is now fucking strange. And the funny thing is, we think about this as a thing in modern pop culture, but you do a little bit of digging. You've got Bowie with one eye covered. You've got the Beatles, Zeppelin. This is not a modern phenomena. And back then that was well before. We knew that like all these celebrities sort of hung out and like were big fans of Aleister Crowley. But the idea of some sort of Illuminati-esque satanic globalist cult was not really a talked about thing, was it, back then? Now we like the term Illuminati is a meme, and whether you believe in it or not, you know what it is. But I find the one eye thing very strange. There's some awfully strange photographs of last week's favourite climate goblin, Greta. I lost a patron last week. I don't mind. It's fine. Everyone gets the opportunities to do these things. I did wonder whether they happen to be like a Greta fan or an and they upsetted people. Anyway, I don't mind upsetting people. People upset me all the time. There was another article I was reading today saying that scientists have worked out a way of breaking into people's dreams. It's all sort of tied in with lucid dreaming. I don't know if you guys... I wouldn't say often because it's a rare thing, isn't it? But like, I've definitely have those dreams where you work out halfway through them like, this fucking shit isn't real. I have quite vivid dreams as well most of the time, especially oddly enough, especially like right now I'm eating really cleanly. I eat like pretty much one meal a day, like a salad, and then that's sort of my 10 o'clock food, and then I will have like a snack at say 3 o'clock, and then that's me. Then I do the intermittent fasting thing until 10 o'clock the next day. It's working really well at the moment. I'm feeling pretty good with it. But when I eat clean, I find I sleep really well when I'm eating nice like salads and vegetables and stuff, like really well. When I eat, then I suddenly realise if I do like a cheat day and have like a pizza, I suddenly realise like that what like carbs fucking make me feel awful, and I'll end up sort of lying in bed, sleeping really badly, and then waking up in the morning feeling like I've got a bit of a hangover. But yeah, when I'm eating like this, I do tend to have like, when I say better dreams, I don't mean I have like nightmares if I have a pizza. I mean, who has nightmares about pizza? Pizza's fucking wonderful. But I have better, like more interesting dreams. But the thing I started worrying about then, or not worrying, but I started thinking about was if you start like busting your way into people's dreams, that's fine. I'm all up for it. So that means that maybe you'll be able to buy like a lucid dream machine that you can plug yourself into at night time. You know, like some people wear sleep masks or something, and then that'll like play the right frequencies at you or do the right thing with maybe flashy lights and running your eyes. I don't know how it works. And to like wake you up in your dreams, so it makes like lucid dreaming available more regularly to more people. And then I thought, well, that sounds great. Then I realised if that happens, Amazon's going to sell it to us, and we're going to get fucking adverts in our dreams. It's like the untapped resource, and it would absolutely happen, wouldn't it? Like first you say it as a joke, and then you go, oh shit, that 8 hours or 6 hours, maybe 6 hours is what I sleep for. But let's say like people say you should get 8 hours a day sleep. But so that 8 hours, it's the only time nobody can get to you. There's no identity politics jumping into your dreams. There's no politicians trying to scare you with the newest fucking hotness that they've got to try and control the masses with. There's no Apple product. You know, what happens when we have our first Apple keynote, sleep time keynote? It's going to happen. You know, you're going to have like I like the Amazon sleep kit, and you can pay 30 quid extra, and they won't put fucking adverts in your dreams every 30 seconds. It's going to be like snoozing on Spotify free. You know, just when you get into a good bit, or you run out of skips. Oh, and that's what they'll do. They'll do it so you can skip bits of your dream. But what you don't know is they're sticking the fucking big monsters in your dream. So if you don't pay for premium, you can't skip the monsters. This is fucked. It's even worse than I thought it would be. I thought it was pretty bleak when I was reading the article. Now I know it's bleak. I mean, at least they're sending William Shatner into space. That's something that's a positive, isn't it? If we get to see Captain Kirk actually go into space, you know he's going to say engage on rock. You know, it's when it's oh no, he wasn't engaged, was he? He was take us out. It was that was Jean-Luc Picard, which was engaged, wasn't it? But you know, they're going to get him to launch the ship, aren't they? Technology's wild, man. You know, we are. You know, I still think it's fucking crazy sometimes when I think that with. I mean, realistically, you can do it with almost nothing. You know, you can record, edit, and upload a podcast on a phone, on a really cheap phone, if you want. I mean, you can go a little bit more overboard and do what I've done and buy some like separate interfaces, nice computer, and some nice microphones, so you sound all nice doing it. But these things are luxuries. You can have a shitty laptop and a Blue Yeti and probably put a decent a decent podcast out. But we didn't have this so long ago. I was saying this the other day. I was saying it on the 3 Legs 4 Wheels, how annoyed I was getting with social media, and how negative everything is on social media. And the problem is that everybody has a voice. And I realise the like the duality of what I live in when I say things like that, because I've made my hobby having a voice on these things, but I try and do it in good faith. I think if you see me tweet something, some people put on Twitter and Instagram and stuff, retweets not endorsements. I mean, that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, what does that mean? Does that, so if you put retweets aren't endorsements, does that mean that you can like retweet a load of fucking white power groups, and then when someone turns around and says, like, Dave, that's a little bit fucking racist, then Dave will turn around. This isn't incognito, Dave. Sorry, I've just made up another Dave. Someone will say, this is just a bit racist. And Dave can just turn around and say, "Oh, no, it's okay. Tweets aren't endorsements. I don't endorse it. It's just there. I don't endorse that. It's fucking bullshit. It's cowards. Don't fucking do things like that. If you don't believe if you don't believe what you're putting out to people, it's everybody now, regardless of whether you've got 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers, or 10 followers, everybody seems to have some sort of fucking. It's like every single person is a media outlet. Every person is their own tiny media outlet. Some people have a bigger reach with their media outlet. Some people have a small reach, like I do, but it's probably a little bit bigger than your baker, for instance, unless they're like some sort of big YouTube baker. Then well done, Baker Dave. Another Dave. Fuck, Dave's getting the run in here. But yeah, it's this whole thing of, I think so many people play characters now on the internet. And I genuinely, I mean, even if it might work out badly for me saying things like this, but if you read something that I've retweeted on Twitter or I've wrote on Twitter, I guarantee you I would say that to your face. I guarantee that is a thought that if I've liked something, that is something Lee Stevens has read and gone, I like that. Or if I've written something, that is something Lee Stevens has thought, do you know what? I've thought that, and I think it's a good thing. I'm going to stick that out to the world. Doesn't mean you're going to be right all the time. Doesn't mean you're not going to make yourself look a twat sometimes. But it's kind of the best way to live, isn't it? The best way to live surely is to be honest and not to worry about upsetting other people too much. I mean, don't go out your way to. I hate bullying. It's my big thing at the moment. Well, not at the moment. It's been my big thing for my whole life. I was bullied horrendously as a child. It's probably why I'm such an insufferable bastard now. But when I'm put in a situation, sorry, I'm stumbling off my words. Something terrible tonight. This is what happens when you can't find lots and lots of stuff to talk about. When I'm put in a situation where I feel like somebody's forcing me to do something, you know what I'm talking about. If I don't believe I should do it, don't get me wrong, I'm a stubborn motherfucker, but again, I will be fucking honest. But chances are, I'm not going to do it if you try and make me do it. It's just in my DNA. If I feel like I'm being coerced into something and not being allowed to think for myself and make my own decision, I will naturally just pull back and go, I'm not very interested in this. I'm afraid I'm just going to go over there for a bit. I'm going to let you think about what you're doing. I'll think about what I do, and I'm probably not going to talk to you ever again. But that's where the retweets aren't endorsements thing happens, though, isn't it? And you think, well, you're just you don't have the courage of your own convictions. And social media scares people, you know. We're in a world. I mean, I'm lucky in a way. Like, touch wood, I'm just self-employed enough where I'm anonymous enough and self-employed enough where I don't think I have to worry about the stuff I say. I think people in offices and stuff like that, even just people with normal, everyday household jobs, they, you know, teachers, especially doctors, nurses, you know what I mean. People with some sort of public standing, I think they probably have to be much more careful about things they do and say. And you know, we live in a world where people are quite happy to drag up old tweets. I've got one of our MHKs coming on the podcast soon. He will be on, like, as in a Musty Audio interview. He's interesting. He's got a bit of stick over here. He leans more right than some of our other politicians. I'd say he was centre and right leaning. I'm sure people would say that means he's a fucking Nazi, which he's obviously not. Got sacked from his radio job over here because of, I think, did he get reinstated? I'm looking forward to talking to him about that period. Over a conversation he had with somebody about white privilege on the radio. I will not go into it because I'm going to do a separate podcast and I'll let him tell you about it. But it was quite a big thing, you know. I'm a big fan of the podcast Trigonometry, and they mentioned his case a couple of times. Toby Young in the Free Speech Union was involved in having his back, I believe. He is now part of this Free Speech Union, which I'm not being funny. I've thought about joining myself. It'll be interesting to speak to somebody that's had the vitriol of the mob after them for something, be it right or wrong. You know, there's different opinions. I tend to not really be bothered by things, so I feel that if somebody's offended by something, it's kind of their problem. You know, maybe it's just because I'm people that I think like stand-up comedy and have always been sort of big stand-up comedy fans. I think you develop that. You know, it's because the best comedy is when you're shocked and someone says something when you go, did he just say that in public? My word. I think that's the best type of comedy. It's what if I had somewhere regular over here to do stand up, it's what I would be wanting to try and do. But we are in a place where people seem to be. I don't know if people are more easily offended or if it's just the catchment area for offence is larger than it ever has been. I don't know. As a person that doesn't really get offended by things, I think actually the most offensive thing I find is people that get offended by things, which is quite ironic, isn't it? But that's where we are. But I've been thinking about why. Like I often think of some of these problems we have at the moment with like the way people get on with each other and. The fact that sort of that barrier of conversation seems to be breaking down between, you know, it's been this way with politics now for a while. I think love 'em or loathe 'em, I think Trump accelerated this because it gave it really drew a battle line, didn't it? Where it gave the left somebody to hate and the right somebody to love. And it made everything more tribal, I think. And to be fair, I think you could argue in British politics, Boris Johnson is kind of done the same, but I don't think he's got quite the same level of love. Joe Biden has definitely done the same. He's given the right someone to hate, and the left something to pretend works, I think. And by works, I mean can speak and form sentences. which I'm struggling with tonight. So maybe I've got a touch of the Bidens. But yeah, I've been trying to work out why this happens, and I think it's a financial problem. The more I think about this, is I don't know if any of you guys are like me, but if something's on your mind, like something's like really bad, like going down, first I'll do the Jordan Peterson thing. I'll tidy my house, I'll clean my room, and then the best course of action after that is physical exercise. So I'll go for a swim, I'll go to the gym, I'll sauna, I'll go for a really, really good like swim, sort of like try and get a mile in as quickly as possible to where I'm pretty tired after I finish it. And I think it's because when something's completely out of your control, then you grab onto the things that you can control. So at the minute, especially if you're younger and maybe you're looking at the not particularly great job prospects, very difficult prospects of trying to buy a house that you want. You know, it's the dream that sort of our parents. I'm 39, so when I say our parents, just to put you in the ballpark, were told and kind of got. You know, they kind of had the end of the nuclear family dream, where you had a family, you had a mother which looked after the children, you had a man that could go to work and afford to keep everybody at home while buying a house and buying cars and doing all that sort of stuff. We kind of had that, you know. I think things were changing in the 90s, where you had more women going to work, which is it's great if you want to, I think, but if you don't and you still have these sort of classic family values, then I think the world isn't allowing you to live that way now, because one working class wage coming in the house is not doing that job anymore. So when you've got a youth culture which has very bleak job prospects, they have a real difficult time getting onto the property ladder, then I think it bears this wanting to control what's around you and wanting to control things that are intangible, because it doesn't cost anyone anything. It doesn't cost anyone anything to try and control thought. So if you're not happy in your own life, then you can shout at somebody else, try and make them unhappy in their life, and try and bend their life to your will, which is what I think's going on. And don't get me wrong, it can be on both sides, but from where I'm standing, it does often tend to be left-leaning people that are doing this to people. There's a great quote from Douglas Murray where he was asked about how there's such a rise in sort of the dream of socialism in young people, and he said, "Look, if you can't get any capital, then don't be surprised when the generation that comes after you like abandons like faith in capitalism." I think it's a proper important quote. That I think, like, you know, it's on his day, old Douglas Murray, he hits nothing but net, you know, and lots of people don't quite like that, but you know, he makes a solid point with that, I think. I think that's what's going down. I think you've got people which are slowly losing control of various aspects of their lives, so trying to grab footholds on other parts of it, be it gender, be it race, like finding things to like get their hands into, to blame, or to either blame for a position they're in or to use it to elevate themselves. It could be a super bad take. I'm not saying I'm 100% right. I'm not saying I'm definitely not 100% wrong. I don't think if you're having conversations like this, unless you're going super out there, the chances of you being 100% wrong about something is surely quite low. So I think there's some sort of meat on the bone to what I'm trying to say. Anyway, again, I couldn't really find. I didn't want to bust in with fucking too much like Ronesy stuff and like depressing things. I hope this hasn't been a depressing podcast. I hope it's just been a little like discussion between friends. I've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's just a window, a weekly half-hour window into the workings of my fucking skull. If you like this and you want to help me continue to do it, I would like you to go to Lee Stevens Content Creator on Patreon. Sign up to one of the tiers. I still haven't decided what I can do. I should be giving you something else for nothing rather than just ad-free Formula One podcasts, no adverts at the beginning of podcasts and things like that. There should be something else. There should be some sort of care package for you patrons, but it's time, to be perfectly honest. I would love to do like a separate podcast. Maybe we could start doing like a Q&A. I might put a video up on Patreon and say to patrons, like, look, once a month we can do some sort of Q&A, and that might be quite interesting to do if there's anything you guys want to ask me. But until then, like I said, I always say about it, there is 5 tiers there. It's a tip jar, so give as much as you want. You know, I had a guy message me the other day saying, look, I'm a student, I really enjoy your podcasts, I can only do $2. You just like, fucking amazing, thank you. You know, it doesn't matter if you're just trying to help keep something going is fucking great. And if your $2 that you put in is $2 towards this not like costing me, that's the thing. Don't get me wrong, I would love to fucking get enough patrons on board and be able to do this on like a daily basis and like more of a job. It would be fucking great. But until then, until something like that happens, all we've got to do is keep the must-see audio ship self-sustainable. Self-sustainable is the big talking point, isn't it? So yeah, let's make must-see audio fucking green. But instead of being green with like carbon offset, let's make it green with cash. If you want to watch me play drums, as I slipped in before, I uploaded a drum cover I did of a song called 1,000 Bulbs by a band called Four Day Hombre. They aren't a band anymore. I think they're called Hope and Social now. Anyway, I've always liked that song. I thought I'd do a little experiment at rehearsal. I got down a little bit earlier. I did like one take, one microphone, and smashed a drum cover out. So if you want to go to the Must-See Audio YouTube channel, you can see that. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying the podcasts. I hope to speak to you all again soon. I hope I haven't annoyed or irritated any of you to the point that you're going to like fuck off. I'll go, because I keep saying M. I'm awful for saying M. Like, I say M more than James Bond. Anyway, bye-bye. Thank you for listening. Ciao.
Every 4 computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Acast powers the world's best podcasts. Here's a show that we recommend.
Let me tell you why we have a policy-first agenda on Indisputable. I don't care what side of the political aisle you may be a part of. A policy-first agenda is a person-first agenda. My life was tremendously impacted by good policy. I know that policy is a social contract between you and the government. We're in the business of making sure we hold the government accountable to have a better social contract for every single one of you. Listen to Indisputable with Dr. Rashad Ritchie. Take our conversation with you during your commute. New episodes available daily on the Acast app or wherever you get your podcast.
Acast
recommends.